Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Jordan Elsass. You might recognize me from the show Superman and Lois. You, my friends, are watching Completed It with Andy Burrows. It's your one-stop shop for everything pop culture related. Enjoy the show. I know I sure do.
Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Completed It. Yes, we're back for another episode talking all things movies and pop culture. As you can see, I'm your host, Andy Burrows, and as you can also see, joined by my co-host, good friend, Mr. Sasha Alari. Sash, how are you, son?
What's up, people? How's everybody?
Well, yeah, I hope everyone, mate, the channel's doing well. You noticed we're doing all right now, mate.
Yeah.
Our little old show here on YouTube. Like you say, if anyone does want to check us out, you can type in "Completed It Pod" onto YouTube in the little search bar, and me and Sasha will come up. Just hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, all that good stuff. But mate, let's talk some movies. We're here to talk some movie news. First of all, by the way, I went to see the movie Black Bag this week. See it, bro.
Yeah.
Good. Oh my God, mate. Proper like old school spy type twist and turn thriller. It's one of them movies where you sit there and you're best way to describe it, and I spoke to someone, I think it was in our WhatsApp group that me and you were in,
Hmm.
said it's something the first like 25 minutes, half hour, you're like, where the fuck is this movie going? You're kind of like, I'm following it, but I'm not following it. And then all of a sudden, it's one of them movies where the penny drops, and you're
Hmm.
like, got it now. And something happens, and it's a twisty kind of turny. Oh, I didn't see that coming. And the end, it's completely like, holy. Okay, no, it's a really good ending to a movie, and yeah, I can see why it's getting such good ratings, mate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
really good movie. So yeah, I went and saw Black Bag on Monday. We'll try and get a review out for that in the next week or so. But Sasha, Snow White is due to hit our cinema screens this weekend. I'm planning, hopefully, to go and see it on Sunday night with my wife. Even my daughter doesn't want to see it anymore. She's like, no, not interested. She needs
Oh,
30.
wow. How
Yeah,
old is she now?
soon to be 13, bro. So
Oh,
too
okay.
cool for Disney now. Directed by Mark Webb. This movie, for everything that you read online, or if you've been on YouTube and read and watched people talk about this movie, Sash, obviously Rachel Zegler stars as Snow White. Gal, how do you put this? Is one
Gal
I just said
Gadot.
Godot.
Gadot.
See, that's what I said, and my mate was like, "No, you don't say it's Godot." I'm like, "It's Godot." Gal Gadot plays the evil queen. This movie has caused a lot of controversy before it's even out. So it started off with a lot of people kicking off that the dwarfs that were not going to be, they weren't in this movie. They were not in it. They were going to have things called the bandits instead, which apparently are in the movie now. I've watched a few reviews, but the dwarfs weren't in the Snow White movie, and the internet just basically went, "Nah, we're not having that," and they reshot the back end of this movie. A lot of it is reshoots. What do you make of the current? So how do we put this like woke culture that's creeping into movies? I think we got into it in our WhatsApp group that me and you were in, Sash. Um, is it a good thing or a bad thing now? Because you can't make. How the hell do you start making Snow White without the dwarfs? Do you think it's the kind of world that we live in now, where they just want to change things for the sake of changing things? Like, we can't possibly have an actual dwarf in the movie. Is that the world we're living in now? Have we gone too far?
So this is a bigger question. This is like a double barrel kind of thing.
Yeah, I've kind of
And
loaded that
also,
up there.
also it's kind of like let's try and tread carefully on landmines without offending
Yeah,
people.
setting them. Yeah, letting them
Because
go off.
because here's the thing, I don't mean to offend people, but I'll list some facts, okay?
Hmm.
Facts is there's a lot of underrepresented minorities in the film industry.
Yep.
Okay. And that's fair enough. It's been predominantly a white man's film industry
Hmm.
for many, many years, over 100 years. There's, black people have their own kind of slice of the dime there as well, because black culture has been quite prominent since the 70s, with black exploitation movies. And then obviously in the 80s, you had more and more breakout stars, etc. Obviously, we as a society in a lot of Western cities are multicultural and stuff like
Hmm.
London, New York, Washington. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very much a Western thing, you know. If you went up north, etc., up north of England, it's less of a, less of a
I
thing.
get what you're
You know what I
saying.
mean?
Yep.
So, but in terms of film, I do think they're overdoing it. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And, sure, there are some arguments to be had, but we are getting a lot of productions where maybe, you know, maybe they're overdoing it too much and not at the expense of great story and good movie making. Now, I'm not saying you can't have a great movie with a strong female lead or a strong black lead. There are dozens of movies already that are great like that. Terminator 2, Aliens, most
Yeah,
Kill
but then
Bill, Kill Bill.
Then there's the
And
Ghostbusters with all the women.
yeah, but that was a cash grab. That was a cash grab. And let's look at that one. All right. I was genuinely okay with it. All
Hmm.
right. If we're talking about that particular
Oh, it
movie, I
was
was
a 6 out of 10 movie. It wasn't bad. It wasn't
no, no,
great,
no,
but it
no.
wasn't bad.
Oh no, no. I thought the thing was toilet garbage,
I didn't
man,
think
when
it
I
was. I
saw it.
didn't think it was
But
too bad a movie.
but going into it, you got to understand where we're at. Like the guys that were the original guys, Bill Murray and all of that. Bill Murray had no interest in being the lead again. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? He
Yeah,
like if you look at the new films, he's barely in it. Because he has no interest in leading the team.
yeah.
Because the fans, I think the hardcore fans of that wanted a passing of the torch. They wanted to have what they had with the original and then bring in some new guys and do it that
Hmm.
way. And they did that with Afterlife, but in a very different way. And I felt in Afterlife it worked. In 2016, they said it was going to be a straight up reboot. Everything in the first two films aren't connected. But then the trailers came out and made it seem that it was connected,
Yeah.
which, because they have the firehouse, which doesn't even show in the damn movie. So,
You're
you
right.
know what I
It's
mean?
not.
So,
Yeah.
so, so the marketing confused people. And then on top of that, it's kind of like, so that confused people. But going in, I was quite optimistic to watch it because Paul Feig is a great comedy writer director. I love Bridesmaids, I love The Heat, and I loved Spy. If you haven't seen Spy with Melissa McCarthy, you've missed some jokes there because that is some joke ass film with Jason Statham in probably one of his best roles because he's hilarious in that. So coming off of these three films, you're telling me that guy's rebooting Ghostbusters with women? All right, cool. I'm going to give it a shot. Not because, oh, I'm a, super pro feminist or anything, because I want to see a different thing and
Yeah.
see
Just
how
a
they,
different spin on a movie
yeah,
that we already know. Yeah.
yeah, totally. Because look, my guys, they're not coming back. They didn't want to come back, or Bill
Mm.
Murray didn't want to come back. And without Bill Murray, it's not the thing that everyone has in their head. So you got to kind of divorce yourself from that from the get-go. So I actually went into that film with the hope
Open-minded. Yeah.
that it would be all
Yeah.
right. It would be all right. I'll be honest with you. I felt the trailers were lackluster, but because of the pedigree of the director of his previous output,
Hmm.
and Melissa McCarthy was on a roll at that time with decent movies,
Yeah.
decent comedies.
Yeah.
So I was like, and you got the current Saturday Night Live lot. All right, let's give it a go. And then sure, it was super woke, and it did make every male character in there appear stupid, from the mayor to Thor, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Everyone.
And
Yeah.
then and then having the Ghostbusters sign as the ghost, and then also like stuff like, I think, where it lost it for me in that movie, in terms it was more the storytelling. It was kind of like they were already great at what they did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's the typical trope. They're already great at what they do, and whereas when you have a normal movie, there's a thing called character progression. One should fuck up, learn,
Yeah.
try again, succeed.
Yeah.
That's usually your thing in your movies with your
Yeah.
antagonists, right? Protagonists, right? So, at no point did they have a hurdle. They just did everything correct. Whereas in the original movie, they'd never tested this equipment before. You know what I mean? They kind of blow up the chandelier.
Shooting on the
They,
fly,
you know
basically.
what I mean?
Yeah.
They blag it. They like, yeah, it costs this much. I'm not going to pay that much, but they only said it because they need to pay for the chandelier they just wrecked. And you know what I mean? It's like they're totally blagging it. But these guys are heroes, and like they make a point in the original movie where it's like, you're carrying a nuclear accelerator on your back. You probably don't want to fire it in someone's face, and they have rules to why stuff
Yeah.
works. Whereas this one, they're in a rock concert and they're just shooting shit and everyone's cheering rather
Yeah.
than running amok.
Is that a kind of
You know
like
what I mean?
where
It's
not
like,
where the wokeness started, but a lot. So I basically before me and you started recording, we don't just hit record. I sometimes do some research. I went online and read about. Obviously, I heard a lot of Rachel Zegler's comments. She said a lot of people got on her because she wasn't quote unquote white. Now, Snow White isn't based on Snow White the person. It's Snow White as in she's whiter than white. She's a princess. She's
yeah,
everything. Yeah. So all these people
yeah.
jumping online. I read a lot online, and I read a lot of people that were getting on her comments on
I
her
could
interview.
believe that. I could
Uh,
believe that because here's the
and I'm
thing.
like, I get
Yeah,
that. And
yeah,
I was kind of like, I agree with her. I'm like,
yeah,
it's not called Snow White because of the color of her skin. It's called because she's whiter than white. She, everything's perfect in her life. It's a hunky dory life, and
yeah,
she's living along, bobbing along until the evil queen or
yeah.
the comes along and it ruins it. And she bites an apple, and we get all that. But for this
Yeah.
movie, originally, Sash, to
Hmm.
say no dwarfs, nothing, not happening, done,
Yeah, yeah.
no, not going on. That's apparently that and Gal and Rachel, they fell out a lot in this movie. I don't know how much you've read about what went on before the
I don't
reshoot and
I
stuff.
haven't really followed it.
Yeah, so
It
apparently
doesn't really
there
interest
was a
me.
big contrast of opinions on how the movie should be done, and like I said at the start, they had the bandits that were going to be the quote unquote instead of the dwarfs. The bandits are still in the movie. If you've seen anything about it, and they're not in it. I think they're in the second trailer for like a snippet. But if you've read or you've seen any reviews, that they're called the bandits. But the plan was that Snow White was not going to have Snow White and the seven dwarfs. Now, coming back to what I said at the start, is that wokeness gone crazy? Or when you flip it, is that someone just trying to put a new spin on a movie?
Uh, it's just
Or not a spin on a movie, spin on
yeah.
a classic film. We mentioned Ghostbusters there.
So
We mentioned reboots on our last episode.
yeah,
And this
again,
wasn't kind of a reboot. This was just a spin on a classic, me and you talk
yeah,
about it all the time, the era that me and you grew up in. We grew up in
yeah,
with like Sword in the Stone, The Jungle Book, Snow White and the Seven
yeah.
Dwarfs, all these guys, the original animated Lion King. Is this Disney going too woke and
Hmm.
saying, we just want to try this, but or is it, in a lot of people's opinion, and probably a lot of people watching this, the world's gone batshit crazy. You can't have Snow White without the Seven Dwarfs.
Bit of both.
Mm.
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, look, Disney as a company has gone super woke. Look at their track record lately.
That due to, do you think that's the world we
crazy.
live in now?
Um,
Or is that them just taking a whole, we don't, Disney, we mentioned whiter than white. Disney have always
well,
been
it
it's all singing,
depends.
all
Which
dancing.
part of the world you go to, Andrew. I mean, I mean, in the West, it's definitely part of the Western world. If you go in the East, they're like they don't even know what this woke thing is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
Like
you're right.
I was in Trinidad and Tobago, and they didn't know what woke, any of that stuff.
Mm.
They're like looking at it, going, "What the hell is going on over there?"
But to
You
do
know what I
movie
mean?
companies
So
now make movies more, it's not about what they're trying to make with the movie. It's them trying to not offend people. Back in the day, like
yeah,
you said, to me,
yeah, no,
a movie was a
totally,
movie. You
totally.
go
I
you
think,
go back and watch like I don't know the original House Party movies with Kid and
yeah,
Play. I don't think they rebooted that, and it was. I was like, I'm watching a completely different franchise here. This
yeah.
is absolutely sure. They rebooted a great program that me and you watched when we were kids called Saved by the Bell. Couldn't believe what I was watching. I'm like, nope, this isn't. So that to me is wokeness when you just go too far beyond.
Well, that's a totally different thing, really. You're now that's a different kettle of fish because remaking old IP is nothing new. That's been going on since the
True.
80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to understand IP sells. You know what I mean? It sells even if you don't like it because you grew up on it.
Yeah. The
It's
modern,
it's
the
it's
new kids on the block, pardon the
exact
pun.
exactly.
Not
They're
many
like,
people will
I've
get
heard
that
of
pun
that,
because
and
we're old.
that's why they do it.
Mm,
Look at Mission Impossible, 60s TV show. Tom
yeah.
Cruise buys the rights because he doesn't get because he never done an action movie before. You know what I mean? He'd done films with action in it, but he wanted to do action movies, and people were like, "Oh, you don't want to do that." You know what I
Mm,
mean? And then he used it. He used that franchise to fund his adrenaline rush from doing crazy stunts. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like, So
What do you think Disney's thinking is though when they sit down and
yeah,
you've dipped your toe into the movie business, so you're going to know a lot more than this. I know we're talking about Disney here, the biggest company on the planet, but
yeah,
I'm talking from a movie making perspective. They're all sitting around the table and they go, right, guys, we're making a new Snow White movie, and they go, oh, cool, okay, who's going to play the dwarfs? And they go, no, there's no dwarfs in this. The people around that table go, how can you have Snow White without the dwarfs? It's like having Knight Rider without the car.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there are probably some people thinking that, but once someone if someone in a higher position wants that to be the course that they're going to take, there's that. I mean, this whole thing started because Peter Dinklage decided it was what's it said very openly that it's very unoriginal to have Snow White with dwarfs.
hmm,
You know what I mean? Like if he was above taking a role in that or
yeah,
something. So they, obviously they didn't want to offend dwarf people by putting dwarfs in there. That was the original thing.
yeah,
So they made it a thing where it was like different people from different ethnicities and
yeah,
backgrounds and stuff, I do believe. I've forgotten the title of the original name for this thing, but I think that's why they were called the Bandits.
yeah.
And then,
And they're still in the movie, the bandits. They're still in it.
right, okay. So, but this is the thing. It's like they're trying not to, they're going so hard not to offend people, but they end up offending people anyway because actual dwarf actors are pissed because they're like, fuck you, Peter Dinklage, because,
Yeah, we want to do it.
he's a rich guy. You know what I mean? But you got these working actors, you know what I mean, that ain't going to get
Hmm.
bread because there's 7 roles that could have been them that they're not going to be able to act in. And now, because of the reshoots and stuff, they still don't get to act in it because they've got to CGI the old people out. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because it's cheaper. You know what I mean? It's cheaper to do that than reshoot everything. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
apparently there was a lot of reshoots on
Yeah.
this movie. But
So
hey, look, I mean, I'm gonna
yeah,
go and see it. Me and my wife are gonna go and see it on
I mean,
Sunday.
my stance on the movie in total is this. All right, is this. Look, it's Snow White. People are going to see it anyway. All right.
Yeah,
Now, there's going to be people that don't want to see it, myself included. I'm not interested. This film isn't aimed at me, just like the Little Mermaid was. However, like I said in that group chat, when the Little Mermaid came out, everyone was like, "Oh, it's woke and it's gonna bomb," blah blah blah, and that's what the internet was saying. All right,
mm,
it didn't bomb. It didn't bomb. It didn't come first in the opening weekend, and it didn't make a billion. But every movie doesn't have to make a billion. It needs to make its budget back first and foremost, and then make a profit.
yeah,
Okay,
hmm,
and that came up with 565 million, kind of roughly.
hmm.
Now, I don't know about you, Andy, but if you got like here's the thing. Your product costs 200 million, 240 million, right? I think they spent on it
Yeah,
off the top of my head. And then the average marketing spend is 100 million on top of that. So
yeah.
you have to make 340 million and you make 565 million. That's a pretty good haul, really.
Oh, I've had worse days,
That's
Rodney.
yeah, that's not a flop.
No.
That's not a flop at all. That's a success for all the investors. All right, we would like it to be a billion.
Mm.
Everyone would love it to be a billion.
Everyone would love to have an Avengers Endgame on their
Yeah,
hands, you know what I
exactly.
mean? And it'd be
But
one of
you got to understand, like $1 billion movies are a new thing,
yeah,
and are a new thing in the past 10 years. All right, where everything was $1 billion movie, but that's because we've had a slew of rich IP on a big run of
hmm,
things. All right, now we've kind of scaled back to how things, how movies grows back in the old days where it's not as common, you know,
hmm,
for multiple reasons. Now here's the thing. People saying it's a flop. Okay, it's a flop if you're looking for 100 million for a
yeah.
$1 billion
Yeah,
movie.
but if you're already going in thinking it's a flop, it's going to be a flop.
Well, here's the thing. All those people weren't going to watch the movie anyway. They're going
Yeah.
to be in their little bubbles, like going, "Ah,
Mm.
it's going to be shit," and not watch it. In the meantime, the crowd that went and watched the Little Mermaid, who the crowd went and see, the people that saw that were the musical crowd.
Mm.
You know what I mean? The people that like all the musicals and stuff and go to shows and musical
Yeah.
theatre crowd, okay?
Hmm.
They loved that shit. All
Mm.
right. And the girl, here's the thing, the girl in the Little Mermaid, all right, fine, fine. They changed the race, but you know what? Girl can sing. All right.
Yeah. What do you
Haley
say? What do
Berry
you what
could
do you reckon to
sing.
the people that are getting on the
Okay.
back that they're changing? This is probably the wrong word, but following up on what you said, people that are
Yeah.
getting on Rachel Zegler's back for saying she's not white. I think it goes back to what you said at the start of the show. I
Well,
mean, what that argument I don't get.
so
I don't get that.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think there are two things about this. It's a case of she's the one that threw the stone first.
Mm.
You know what I mean? By attacking the audience first.
Some of
Or
her interviews, you
or
do watch them and you're like, oh my
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because she throws the first stone first. If you throw the first stone first, then you become the issue.
people in
You
glass
know what I mean?
houses and all
Because
that.
people gonna retaliate online and chat
Mm.
shit. Sure. All right. Now here's the thing. Some people are like, "Oh, I doubt there's any racist comments." Trust me. If you're
Dude, if you don't think there is, you're living in a different
yeah,
world.
you're silly. That I don't think there's as many racist comments as they make out to be. But
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there is because there's bound to be.
But to me,
Because
that's just such a
you'll
such a
get
flawed argument. Though.
but you'll get the odd person that will take it too far. You know what I mean? But is it as bad as what they're making it? No, no, I don't think it's as bad because they want to play that victim card. You
Mm,
know what I mean?
yeah,
And then what they do, they start branding all the white men as racists
yeah,
because white men are racist. You're a white man. I've known you my whole life. You
yeah.
don't have a racist bone in your body,
No,
as far as I'm concerned.
no. Me and you
And
have been pretty
that,
much, no, like you say, since you come
yeah,
out of the womb. Me and you have known each
yeah.
other.
So like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's that narrative. Now, not all white men are racist, but then
But
there are,
can you separate
but
that with them having an opinion on someone in a movie not being of a certain
I
color?
think
Does that fall in? Does that fall under racism, or does that fall under an opinion and going back to an ideology of they just want tradition to stay the same? I think
I
sometimes we
think
lose that in movies.
yeah, I think
Sometimes I think it's okay to, you know, the animated version of Snow White was great. I don't
yeah,
think there's anything wrong with rebooting it a little bit, but just having the same kind of
yeah,
storyline. You're rebooting it,
like
God knows how many years later, for God's sake.
yeah. I mean, like, look. If you're gonna have a different race, etc., just do it and just don't make a big deal about it. I think that's the problem. You know what I mean? Where like people love watching films. What
Hmm.
people don't like is when they hammer home, oh, this is the first Latino
Or it's
as
rammed
Snow
down your
White.
throat kind of thing.
Well, it's
Yeah, I
right
get
down
you.
your throat. It's just
Yeah.
make
It's a
them.
bit like the whole, we're going to get onto it in a minute.
Yeah,
It's
it's
come
like
out
make the
today about the
movie.
James Bond. Everyone's about
Yeah,
Idris Elba.
yeah.
And it's
It's like make the movie, and if the movie is great, people will watch it.
people will watch it. Yeah, it
People
doesn't matter.
watch it and they won't even think about race. You know
No.
what I mean? People only think about race in general when it's brought to the table. You know
Mm.
what I mean? But if you just make the product and don't even, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that people shouldn't talk about race. It is an issue, and racism is a thing that
Yeah,
does
especially
go
in the
on.
movie world, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
you've heard so many actors and actresses. I've
but
heard untold interviews with
yeah,
like Denzel Washington come out and go, "Yeah, at the start of my career, I
yeah.
couldn't get certain
But
jobs because of
but
the color
at,
of my skin."
but at the same time, we're at a thing where we're at a point where with entertainment, it's way too much ramming the message home
I get
because
you.
you're alienating people now. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And you're making people say stuff that they don't necessarily mean,
but because it's been rammed down
but
their
because it's
throat,
around that,
yeah, you make a good
do,
point.
do you
You
know what
make
I
a
mean?
very good
And
point.
it's a bit of a weird one, mate. And
Yeah, I
I
know. But
just think
look,
I
I
just think
mean,
I
I
just
just
think
go and see the movie. Make up your
yeah,
own minds. That's all I ever
yeah,
say to people as well. I mean, I go to the movies. I try and go 2 or 3 times a
yeah,
week. Just go and see the movie. If you like the
yeah.
movie, you like it. If you don't, look, I didn't like Mickey 17. There were
Yeah.
people out there that
Who
loved
loves
it.
it? Yeah, that's
Great.
right.
But that's why, I mean, if me and you sat here every week and went, yeah, I like that, and you went, yeah, I like that too, and I'd be like, well, this
Mm.
show ain't gonna be. We're just gonna agree with each other for the whole
Yeah,
45 minutes, and the
yeah, it'd be a
world,
bit boring.
yeah, the podcast will
Yeah,
be boring, and the world will be really shit. But yeah, I get it. Look, go and see
yeah,
Snow White. It comes out this
yeah.
weekend. I'm gonna go and see it, and
But
I
a
will.
quick one, but a quick one. But honest, back on the Little Mermaid thing with
Mm,
Snow White. Um, I think Snow White has a chance in doing well because of the musical crowd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Everyone's
Look at
saying the musical
look at
aspects
Wicked.
of this film are good.
Look at Wicked. Look at
Mhm.
Wicked. Wicked made 1 billion. Now, I'm not saying Snow White will make 1 billion because of the backlash and stuff,
Yeah.
but at the same time, Little Mermaid had just maybe not as much backlash, you know what I mean, as
But
this one,
enough. Yeah, I get
but
it.
enough. I think we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't think it will be as bad. I don't think box office gross will be as bad as people say it is because we're coming up on Easter, right?
Hmm.
So here's the thing. Parents and people that don't know about films
We'll go
or
to the
talk in the
movies.
spares that we do,
Yeah.
they're just going to shove their kids into anything.
Yeah. Go and watch this. Be quiet
Go
for
and
two
watch this.
hours.
Oh, it's Snow White. That's what
Yeah. Go with your
happens.
nan and granddad to watch this.
Yeah. Us guys in our bubbles that ain't going to watch a movie, we weren't watching a movie anyways.
No. Yeah.
And
I get it, bro.
yeah,
I
that's
get
my
it, mate.
point.
I get it.
So,
Yeah. I mean, go
yeah,
and see it. I'll let you
yeah.
know what I think of it.
You know what? I hope it's good. I hope it's actually good.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll
no,
give you,
deep
yeah.
down,
I'll text you on
because
Sunday night and let you know what I thought, definitely.
yeah,
But
sure. And also, I didn't know Mark Webb had did this. Amazing Spider-Man's Mark Webb. I did not know that he
it's got a
directed
good
this.
director. You know
So
what I
it's
mean?
got
It's
a good
got a good
director. I mean,
director. Give it a chance. I mean,
yeah.
that's all I say with any movie. Give it a chance. But while we're talking movies, and we kind of touched on it there, Sasha, it's been widely reported now. Me and you spoke about this 2 or 3 weeks ago. James Bond
Hmm.
looking like it's going to be Henry Cavill. It's very much looking like it. Idris Elba kind of slid into the discussion. Since me and you spoke about it 3 weeks ago, things have really moved on. I know Henry was asked about it. He was at Cheltenham last week and he kind of was like all tight lipped and said he couldn't really say nothing. There's been a lot, again, as always, flying around the internet, but till I see it on IMDb, I'm not really going to believe it. Have you had any more thoughts on who you would like to be James Bond? Are you happy with Henry Cavill doing it? Is this one slightly, I'm going to slightly touch on it because we've mentioned it already in the show. Is this something where they flip it and go, I think Idris Elba would be a great James Bond. I'm just saying. People don't might hate me for it. I think he'll be really good. I think he's a tremendous actor. Do they flip it and go, interest? I like it. Or kind of air quotes here, safe and go with Henry Cavill.
Um, Bond. Well, here's the thing. We're in uncharted territory. So before traditionally casting a Bond, yeah, I'm not going to go into that spiel. All gloves are off on who could be Bond now.
Yeah.
Because it's not the Broccoli's doing it, as I said.
Yeah, we said a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
You know, because they had a way
Amazon.
of how they casted their
Yeah.
Bonds. You see, that's what I was going to say.
Mhm.
They had a certain way. Like no one predicted Daniel Craig. No one predicted
No.
Pierce Brosnan back in the day. It, you know, I
Pierce
mean,
Brosnan was a very good James Bond. By
he
the way.
was a very good James Bond.
Little known fact, I don't. People are going to, again, you can come at me in the comments or on our WhatsApp group. I didn't like the original James Bond movies.
What?
I'm sorry, Sash.
Get the fuck out.
I know. I knew you were going to hate me for it, bro. I didn't start watching till Pierce Brosnan come along.
Oh wow. Okay.
Sorry, bro.
I grew up on
I know.
that stuff,
I'll probably have to hand in my friend card here.
no, it's all right, man.
But yeah. But what do you reckon? Henry Cavill for you?
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. Personally, if they're doing a reboot, I would get someone younger, who's like early 30s, 28 at the latest. The thing is, at the youngest, and not to play a 28-year-old. It's just James Bond before he was a 00 was a commander for the British Navy. And to get that rank, you have to be at least 35 years.
Yeah.
I think 32 or 35 years old. Someone correct me in the comments if you know your military. The reason why I say 28 is because you could make, you know, a 28-year-old from a 35-year-old, you know, on film. You can make it, you know, you get some 35-year-olds that look younger than they actually are, you know, by about 5 years.
45-year-olds that look younger.
Yeah, you can, but there's no
Not me,
longevity. There's no longevity in that. Like Roger Moore was in his 40s when he joined, and then he was almost 60 when he left.
Is there anyone out of
it.
left field that you think might surprise the hell out of us that they go with?
I don't know, man. I think
Patterson. That was rumored. Again,
you know who I think
purely
would be good.
here.
You know who I think would be good, honestly, if we were going to go left field. Nicholas Hoult.
Oh,
Nicholas Hoult is age appropriate.
okay.
He's also
wouldn't have a problem with that.
wait for it, he's not an A-lister.
No,
Sure, he had Renfield where he led it, but really people saw that for Nick Cage than him. You know what I mean?
don't know why.
But
One
you
of the
wash
most
your mouth,
overrated,
man.
one of the
Anyway,
most overrated actors ever. I know. See, I'm handing in my friend
yeah,
card this
yeah,
whole
yeah.
episode.
So yeah, so with yeah, I think Nick Holt's one of those actors who, and this is what they look for in Bond. They always look for an
Mm-hmm.
actor that's always been there, but has never been the guy. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Never
Yeah.
been the leading man. And he's always been about in ensemble movies like X-Men. He's always been like second fiddle to someone else that's the lead. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And as a Brit, we've watched him since about a boy. Skins, if you know the
Oh,
TV show
I
Skins.
love that.
And he's literally grown into a really versatile, really good actor. And I can't wait to see what he does with Lex Luthor,
Mm-hmm.
personally. Um, so I,
Well,
I
the
think
new trailer's
I,
dropping on Superman Day, apparently.
yeah, I think he's a solid choice, to be quite honest. And that's a bit left field because you wouldn't necessarily think him straight away, you
No.
know. But I'm thinking Bond Begins. You know what I mean? So
Mm. I like the thought of doing an origin film with Bond.
yeah,
I kind
yeah.
of like that idea. And like you said a minute ago, they could run for years then. If you do an origin movie with an actor who's in his late 20s, coming into, his early 30s, then you could do 3 films easily. You could sign him on a 3-movie deal and say, right, we want to do 3 movies. We'll release one every 3 years, something like that. I'm like I'm in the James Gunn era now. I don't like movies to be rushed anymore. Too many movies. Recent years, I get the whole COVID thing and then the writer's strike, and I get that. But for me, too many movies have been rushed. The recent Jurassic Park films,
Oh yeah, yeah. They were
and then
terrible.
I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to the new one. Don't get me wrong, I'll go and see it. Hopefully, it hasn't been rushed, but yeah. So I'm hoping James Bond. Let's see who it is, but I think, but maybe by the next time you and I sit down together, maybe next week, we might have a little bit more news. Something else that I want to pick your brains about, Sash. Happy Gilmore 2, the trailer, full trailer again, dropped. A lot of people are excited about this movie. A lot of people, our friend on Twitter, Man of Steven, big shout out to you, hey mate, says the recent trailer did nothing for him, didn't excite him. My main issue is I wanted to go and see this in the cinema, but it's going straight to Netflix. Again, comes back to what we said at the start. We were talking about Snow White. Happy Gilmore 2, interested just because, and again, we for those that
I
don't know, we have a WhatsApp chat, and I said in earlier in the week, a lot of movies live off their past name. Is Happy Gilmore 2 going to be a movie where you just go because it's Happy Gilmore and you want to see what he's up to these days, and he's got new storylines, and Tiger Woods is in it, and there's new modern golfers that are going to be in it? Or is it like a lot of people have said to me in the comments over at Completed It Pod on Twitter, they think it's just going to be a fucking tragic flop?
you know what? It's this is the thing though.
And are you
So
disappointed that ain't going to the cinema? At least for a week.
I am disappointed it's not going to the cinema.
Mm,
I'll always champion the cinema experience, but I get why it's on Netflix. Adam Sandler has a big deal with them,
mhm.
and that's why. You know what I mean? Like um, all of his movies, Netflix have like funded them since Ridiculous Six, I think it was, or maybe one before that. So he's based there. So no theatrical releases. Um, it is a shame it's not in cinema. I miss comedies in cinemas because
Yeah. What's the last good
comedies
comedy you saw in the cinema?
I couldn't tell you,
There
mate.
you
I
go.
can't remember. It's
Exactly.
definitely before COVID.
There you go.
Um, because this is the thing, when you think of the cinema experience, comedies is one of the genres that are great for a shared experience.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because everyone's on the same wavelength, you're having a great time. Actually, yes, I do remember the last comedy I saw. It was the 4:30 movie. Kevin Smith's The 4:30 movie.
Don't think I've seen it.
Fantastic movie.
All
Check it
right.
out.
I'm going to write that
If you
down so I
like,
don't forget. Here we go.
if you like your
I do.
coming of age kind of films, you know, that's the
Okay.
one.
I'll
That's
check
the
it out.
one. And if you like the movies, because it's set in a movie theater.
Oh,
Um,
who doesn't like going to the movies?
so yeah, check it out. Um, but yeah, no, yeah, with Adam Sandler, he just does his thing, isn't it? Am I
Is this
excited?
again? Is this another one of just go see it? See what you think.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
me and you have had this discussion before. I
Yeah.
hated the last Beverly Hills Cop. I
Oh
thought it
man,
was,
I
it was
loved it.
terrible.
I actually
Uh,
loved it.
yeah, see, there you go. And this is why we like doing what we do.
Yeah, yeah, I loved it. But
I hated it.
here's the thing with Beverly Hills Cop. I just wanted to see the gang back again.
Yeah, I'm glad we did
I
because the
wanted to see
what's his name passed away not long ago.
yeah, Taggart passed
Taggart.
away. But you know what?
He was ill during the filming of that.
he had the bigger role in that movie.
Yeah.
He had the bigger role in that movie, and I'm glad he had
Hurrah.
one last drop. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It gave me what I wanted from a Axel Foley for now, myself personally. I wish Billy Rosewood was in it more because I love Cop 2. Cop 2 is my go-to.
Aquel Foley.
Oh man, yes. When he came in, when I saw the trailer,
That was the good bit about the last movie I liked.
I've got to give a shout out to our boy Andrew Speakmaster.
You better listen to this.
Yes.
Hope you're well, Andy.
Hope you're well, Andy. When that guy came in, I thought of Andrew Speakmaster.
That's the best impression of him.
He used to do the best impersonation
Cracked
of
us
that
all
guy.
up at school.
Oh my god, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But are we kind of now? Is Happy Gilmore got? Is it going to have them kind of same vibes? And we mentioned it again in our group chat. Movies are just making movies off the name now more than the story that they're telling.
Well, yeah. That's always gonna be a thing. That's not a new thing.
I know, but is that a bad thing for movies though, mate? That's why I don't think I like Beverly Hills Cop, the latest one. I think they made it just for the sake of fucking making it.
Oh yeah,
and Netflix went, we'll give you X amount of millions, and they all went, yeah, we'll get the band back together for that. If someone said to me and you, right, we want you to do a school reunion, we're going to give you all 10 million each to turn up at Whitmore High School, but like, I don't want to see half these motherfuckers, but I'll go. You know, what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where I think movies are letting themselves down at the minute. Mate, I don't know. I know you liked it, but I'm hoping Happy Gilmore because I love the original. I'm just thinking now, and it's something that I sent you a little thing just before we started recording. Disney are going to reboot the Power Rangers, and I mean, if you grew up in
hang on, wait, Disney?
Yeah, it's coming on Disney Plus. They've got the rights to it. I think I put it in our
have the
group
rights
chat.
to it?
They have now, mate. Yeah, I think I put it in the. I did put it in the group chat. Yeah, Disney. I sent you the picture. It's in the group chat. Yeah, so it's going to be on Disney Plus. Disney are set to launch a reboot of the Power. It says Power Rangers reboot is coming soon to Disney Plus. Whether it is or not, mate, I think it is from what I quickly jumped online. But again, though, this comes back to: is this the kind of thing that, again, is just going to live off a name? Do you reckon?
Well, yeah, of course it is.
Again, maybe I'm just sitting here. Maybe we should start a podcast called Grumpy Old Men because I think the modern day movie fan or TV fan has the right to see it. I probably sit here with rose tinted glasses, thinking it's nowhere near going to be. I sound like a Grumpy Old Man. It's nowhere going to be near as good as the original because the original Power Rangers was good. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like when we spoke to Ken, was good. The movies, but then they brought out this crappy Nickelodeon animation, which was fucking terrible. And they ruined my childhood. They rebooted Thundercats.
I'll be honest with you. I liked the new
Turtles. There's nothing wrong with that.
I loved it.
They rebooted Thundercats. I didn't like that.
To be honest, Andy, when it comes to the Turtles, I've not disliked any of the incarnations.
Even the
except for the live action series that came out after the movies, because
the new movie looks good. I've seen the poster for it. I'm looking forward to seeing do you know they dropped that fucking poster the day after we interviewed Ken? I was devastated. I wanted to ask him about that, but yeah, it's gonna be so Power Rangers is being rebooted. Happy Gilmore 2, look, I hope it's good. I think it's gonna be one of them movies where you're gonna go, it was all right.
Yeah, with Power Rangers though, I didn't think, it never left. I mean, the show's still going on. The Saban show's still going on.
Yeah, I don't know if they're rebooting, as in rebooting, as in telling us the origin story.
Well, they're probably just doing another iteration, but on Disney with a bigger budget.
I think that comes again. This goes back to what you said at the start of the show. I think that's where a lot of people get pissed off. I think you're just like, say for argument's sake, I don't remember the last time they rebooted Power Rangers. Like you said, it's still going on. So maybe, for argument's sake, we'll say 2023.
Yeah.
And then again, you get to 2025 and they're like, we've run out of ideas. What can we do? We'll just fucking reboot it. Who cares?
But they do that just to keep the IP alive, isn't it?
I get it. And I get that, mate. But as a, what's the word? as a
It
traditionalist.
dilutes the value
Yeah,
of the thing.
there you go. You've nailed it.
This is what I'm afraid of what they're doing with James Bond, because look, the Broccolis did every movie from Doctor No to Casino Royale, and what was great about Bond was that a movie will come out either every 2 years, between every 2 to 4 years.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it was just when it was 4 years, it was just the right
just enough
amount of
time. Yeah, it'd
time.
been away long enough that you got
Yeah, for
excited
you
about a new
to
one. Yeah,
exactly.
I think
And
that's
that
why everyone's excited about the next Avengers movie. To be honest.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Bond, and that's what kept that running for so long.
Mm.
Um, because people like that little bit of nostalgia. They want to miss it a little bit before it comes back. It's like with Superman, for example. Look, I know there's a lot of hate coming on this new movie, but here's the thing:
I think
a
it's
lot
going
of
to be
people are
incredible.
upset because they lost their
Superman.
current Superman. Because
Mm.
Cavill was good for what that movie was, you know. I didn't like half of those movies, but I liked Cavill in the role.
Man of Steel was tremendous.
But but the thing is, yeah, with the Snyderverse and stuff, look, if you're gonna reboot it, they should have at least waited like 7 years without anything. Let the Batman play out. You know what I mean? And just, once that's gone, then build up your DCU. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I get it.
Because you would have given people enough time to grieve, um, but the
Let
actor
me
to
let me
age,
mourn. God damn
no,
it.
no, but the actor to age out so they
Yeah, I
can't
got it.
possibly go back to him again,
Yeah.
and then like start afresh. It's like Batman Begins. When Batman Begins came out, man, there were no comic book films for
Mm.
7 years.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin was so bad.
Oh,
So when Batman Begins came out, people were like, yeah, we're not sure about Batman. But it was so long ago that like kids and stuff didn't know what Batman was. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And then
Yeah.
when it comes for them, it's like this new thing. But for us, we're like, oh my God, this is decent. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
actually
I get
decent.
it. I get it.
So
Let's hope
yeah,
Happy Gilmore. I think again, it comes back to what we said again with Snow White earlier. Just go and see
yeah.
it. See what you
But
think.
with the Gilmore thing, but with the Happy Gilmore thing, um, yeah, I see what you mean. Like, it's been 20 years or over 20 years since the last one, 30 years even. It would have been, yeah.
I saw the
Um,
trailer for The Accountant 2 the other day. I was thinking, fuck. I went back. I went and rewatched the original. I was thinking, shit. I need to have a
that
recap
was a
here.
good film, and that was a
Good
good
film.
trailer.
Second one looks good. They're
That was a good
all in it.
trailer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Accountant 2 looks decent. Just quickly, Sash, we got about 10 minutes left, bro. While we're chatting on reboots, you're gonna have to talk for this whole segment because I've never what you're gonna hate me again. Friend cards getting handed in so many times this episode. They're rebooting Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers. You've never
Yeah,
seen it.
not really my thing, bro. I'm sorry, mate. I
Do
know.
you like RoboCop?
No,
What?
no,
Total Recall.
it's all right.
What? Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, okay, all right.
Anyway, I'll let you go on your Starship
So
Troopers
yeah,
reboot.
so Starship Troopers, man, they're rebooting that. They've got who's the director of District 9? I keep
Musical
forgetting the title.
musical interlude here. Why Sasha
Neil
Googles?
Blomkamp.
Uh-uh.
Neil Blomkamp. That guy, he's doing Starship Troopers. I love Neil Blomkamp, to be honest. I love District 9. Sure, Elysium and Chappie weren't to the standard of District 9, but you know what? I still like those movies regardless. And okay, Demotnik was a piece of shit. But you know what? Fucking that Gran Turismo movie, that's underrated. That was
That's
legit
a
all
good
right.
movie.
That was a good movie. That was a good movie.
I
He's a
liked it.
good look. I like him. I think he's a solid director. He clearly knows his visual effects. Okay. Um, Starship Troopers, a reboot. Well, here's the thing. I love that movie. All right. I remember watching that opening night with my mate Ross Stimpson,
The
watching
legend that
that.
is.
And there was only like three of us in that movie because what a lot of people don't know is Starship Troopers was a colossal flop in theaters. Okay. However, it was one of those cult films that had a cult following, and Paul Verhoeven from RoboCop and Total Recall fame, obviously, he has his fans, and it survived a lot, a legacy. But people that read the book hated that film. Okay,
Mm.
that actually read the book. I remember I was in the States. I was talking to a guy at a bookstore, and he was saying how much he hated Starship Troopers. I know how the conversation got started, and because he was a book guy, you know what I mean?
That guy's no longer
Yeah.
alive. Sasha killed him.
And for starters, obviously, it's a ripe IP for the climate of films now, because Rico, the main character Rico, was played by a white guy with blonde hair. Rico, he's Latino in the in the thing. I mean, like he's from a South American country, that's
Mm,
now American, funnily
yeah.
enough. But I mean, with yeah, with a reboot, I could see him doing a very different take, maybe a more serious take on it. And I'm intrigued to see it. Like, I will always have Starship Troopers, and the thing is with Starship Troopers, it was that movie done in that way. It was a one and done movie. Sure, there are sequels, but they were never as good. You know what I mean? They
Hmm.
were never as good, and they did better stuff with the animated stuff. But if you go back, if they do a Dune and go back to the source and make it like a serious sci-fi fucking movie, I think we're gonna have something special. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay.
That's what
I'll
I
take your
think.
word for it.
That's what I think. And if you didn't like the last one, this is probably one to check out to see whether you like it, because they'll
Do you think
probably
there's people out there that
yeah,
watch, this could be me in this one, in this
yeah,
case, that watch the reboots of stuff without knowing the origin story?
yeah. There are loads of people like that. There are
Mm.
loads of people like that.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I just think for me, it's just like, yeah, maybe I've just, like I say, I think I'm turning into a grumpy old man, Sash. I'm just
Yeah,
like, I like what I like. And I
yeah.
worry when people reboot shit because maybe I'm too much of the era of, I'm comparing it to what I
So
knew.
here's something you're going to say blasphemous. You're a massive Trekkie. I never was growing up, as you know. I was always Star Wars. You always Star Trek.
Yeah.
I got into Star Trek. Well, I'm not a big Trekkie, but I got into Star Trek. Like, the only thing I like about Star Trek is the original series, because I'd get home drunk from clubbing, and it'd be on late night Channel 4 in the 90s. You know what I mean? Just playing at 4 a.m., 4 a.m. just playing. And I'd watch the original series. But I didn't like, I couldn't get into Next Gen and all of that stuff until, and this is blasphemous for all you Trek fans, but this is an example of people going in not really knowing stuff. The J.J. Abraham films.
I
I
loved
saw
them.
that. Did you like them?
Liked them.
Oh, you liked them?
Yeah.
Okay.
No
Yeah, yeah,
issues with them. A lot of people
yeah,
did. I thought they were
yeah.
great. I want
I
more.
I I really liked that. I
Yeah.
really liked them.
But again,
Like,
that comes back
yeah,
to because people liked what they liked.
yeah,
Generation Voyager, Deep Space Nine, blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then all of a
exactly.
sudden, this whole JJ comes along and goes, I want to flip it a little bit. I want to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this and start original. Like, it was a bit like when they, maybe not when they done Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, etc., etc. And then they went, oh, we want to tell the origin story, and then we want to do a spin-off TV show, and a lot of Star Wars fans, and it comes back to Star Trek fans who are like, I like what I like. Do not
Yeah.
fuck this up. And I
Oh
think
yeah,
when
yeah.
JJ took over Star Trek, that's what a lot of people. My mate who's going to be watching this, Ed, is a biggest Star Trek fan I know. Everything I want to
All
know
right.
about Star Trek, he's the Oracle. I will message him. I'll be like, Ed, heard this? He's like, no, they're not doing this, or they should do that. The
Yeah.
guy is me and him used to work together. I think we spoke about movies more during the day than we did actual work. We got our work done and we were like, right, let's talk movies for a couple of hours. But yeah, I think again, it comes back to I don't mind people doing reboots, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, for me, I don't sit here and go, that reboot was better than the original. I don't say that with Star Wars. I don't say that with the new Alien movies that have come out. I didn't say it with Beverly Hills Cop, like I've already mentioned. I can't sit here and go, that reboot was fucking amazing.
They haven't actually rebooted Aliens. It's sort of
Well,
the
they carried
same.
on the French, yeah, but you know
Yeah,
what I
they carried
mean.
it on.
I think I compare
Yeah.
it to the original movies.
Oh
Then
yeah,
it
yeah,
stopped, and then now obviously the TV series is out on Disney Plus. But in my mind, I sit here and I
yeah,
compare it to what I knew growing up, and a lot of people do the same with Star Wars and Star Trek and Terminator, and I know
yeah,
people that are of my dad's age that like James Bond will always be Roger Moore, Sean Connery. I've never
yeah.
watched, yeah, so that's where I'm getting. But look, all I say is, like we've said many times already, just go and watch the movies, and if you like what you like, hey, fair play
Yeah.
to you, bro. Fair play to you. Let's just finish up real quick, mate. Last couple of bits. So we've got a new Formula One movie coming out with Joseph Kosnick directed that, the guy from Top Gun Maverick, if I'm correct. He directed the new F1 movie. That's coming out with Brad Pitt. That trailer dropped, so I urge everyone to go and check that out. Being a humongous Formula One fan myself, I'm really, really looking forward to this. You mentioned to me earlier,
Oh,
excuse me.
Joseph Kosinski.
That's it. He done
Yeah,
Top Gun Maverick, didn't he?
yeah, that's right. And
Yeah.
he did Tron Legacy.
That's it.
Yeah,
You also mentioned to me earlier when we were chatting that Spider-Man 4 is getting set to shoot in the UK.
yeah, that's correct.
Interesting.
That is
Interesting.
correct.
And again, that's another one where what you said earlier, when you're like, it's a good 3 to 4 years. I think the timing for the Spider-Man movies is always perfect. It waits long enough, and I'm going, I really want a new one now. But the good thing is about Marvel is, hence the never leave after a Marvel movie, because the end credits of something will set up something coming up. So Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man movie could be tied into the end of. It ain't gonna be the Avengers movie. It'll be something.
I reckon it will be.
Do you
I
reckon?
think I think it might even be in between them.
Ooh.
That's what I think.
Okay. Interesting. No, I hope you're right, mate. I can
Yeah.
never get enough of that's one of my. It's up there for me. But Sash, it's been good to talk some movies with you, bro. I am off to Working Man. I'm gonna go and see. I'm off to the media scrum with Warner Brothers next Wednesday, so I will report back on that, my friend. Like I said, I'm gonna go and check out Snow White. I'm also going to the next Monday. I'm going to the Limitless screening of Novocaine. Up in Milton
Oh,
Keynes. Yeah, I'm going to see the Limitless screening of that. I think it comes out next Wednesday. I think I'm going Monday. If you've got an Odeon Limitless pass for those listening in the UK, I highly recommend it. It's £20 a month. Just go. I'm going to that on Monday. I'm also going to the Alto Nights, the De Niro one.
oh yeah, yeah.
I'm going to that on Friday, so we'll be
Okay.
dropping a review on that. But yeah, been a pleasure chatting some more movies and stuff with you, bro. Anyone wants to check out this podcast, go onto YouTube, type in Completed It Pod, one word into the search. Like I say, me and Sasha really enjoying doing these shows. The Tom Arnold interview is going to drop. I've had confirmation from his team today that we can sit down and record with him on the 25th of this month now. He's had a lot of movie commitments, but he's done. He's in the books. He is coming on the show. So that'll be next week. Our movie reviews will be dropping. We've got a cool new intro coming up, which I hope everyone likes. We've been working on that. But thanks thanks for everyone that's been checking us out on YouTube or listening on audio. You can find us on Spotify and Apple. But yeah, YouTube's the main place to check us out. If you want to find us on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. See, that's me being old. I still call it Twitter. At Completed It Pod is where you can find us on there. But Sash, I'll catch you next week, brother.
Yeah. Same time, same channel.
Same time, same channel. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Completed. We have completed it. Till next time, everybody, stay safe.